welcome to the OklaRoots YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to be unboxing and making the quilt block from the October Perfectly Piece box. And this comes to us from Me Time Embroidery. So as always, thank you so much to Me Time Embroidery for sponsoring today's video. This is such a fun box. Every month we've been making little quilt blocks, coming up with the fun little projects to go with it. I gotta be honest, every month I try to think of something fun to do with these quilt blocks that's a little unexpected or something that we have made before and show you how to use them in that sort of bag or pouch. And this month was a really fun one. Last night, actually, I was kind of scrambling, like, what should I do with the quilt block? And I put this together. I've seen these all over the place. I didn't have a pattern or anything, but I put it together and it's really cool. So let me show you. So I have not opened the box yet, but I did download the patterns that they email out to make a couple of the quilt blocks using my own material. So these quilt blocks are these little flying geese quilt blocks on the corners here. And then these other two quilt blocks are quilt blocks from a couple months ago. And I made this cute little rectangle. And then I added some snaps. And when you snap it together, look at this. I know, it's like, what is that? It's a bowl cozy or koozie. I don't know what you call it. But it's something that you put your bowl in to keep your fingers from getting too hot or too cold when you're eating your yum-yums. What? Isn't that so cute? So I actually have another version. Let's see, it was right over here. So this one is not a quilt block one, but I just want to show you. It's a bigger version. Look how fun that is. And you can get so creative with these. So I thought that was such a fun thing to do with these quilt blocks. You just take 4 of them, and we build the quilt block using the embroidery machine, and we quilt the quilt block using the embroidery machine. So all you have to do then is just sew 4 blocks together, and ba-bam, you got yourself a little warm bowl. This is just the best. It's fall, y'all. This is perfect for this time of year. So as you can tell, I'm very excited about that, and I'm equally as excited to unbox this. So this is a monthly subscription. You can either get the digital files only, which is a great option if you have a lot of scraps, and then you can just create your quilt blocks each month and then decide what to do. Make yourself a bowl cozy, put it on a bag, make yourself a quilt. There's so much you can do with that. Or you can opt for the other option, which is of course what I chose, which is where they send you a little goodie box every single month with material, thread, who knows what else, as well as a printed version of the instructions. So there are quite a few instructions for this, depending on the block size, depending on what project you want to make, and they give you the printed version, which I think is great because I just take them and put them in a binder and have my little perfectly pieced binder, which just makes me happy. So if you're new to the OklaRoots YouTube channel, please consider clicking subscribe down below. If at any point you like this video, please give it a like. Any questions, comments, shoutouts, anything at all, please leave them down in the comment section. This is a quick one today, guys. We're not going to build a whole project. We are just going to be doing the block. So we're going to unbox this, see what's inside, put together one block just so I can show you how cool it is, and then that's it. And then you decide what you're going to make with it. There are so many projects, but I just want to offer this idea too. This little bowl cozy. This is so much fun. If you guys want to see a tutorial on how I put this together, let me know down in the comments and we can do a quick one. I think this would be a great holiday gift, especially with these quilt blocks. All right, guys, let's get started. Okay, so as you can see, I've already got my embroidery machine and my hoop out. We will go over that in just a moment. First, let's unbox this little cutie patootie box. I just love these bright orange boxes. It makes you so happy when you come home and you see it on your patio. Oh, and look at the inside too. Look at that. That is beautiful. I love these boxes. I hope you hold on to them because they are a really great way to store things. You can definitely store a bunch of threads and your different fabrics and stuff in here. So let's see. This is our little banner. Flip it over. Oh, and it's going to tell us all about the stuff that's in this thing. Oh, this is so cute. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited about this. Look at these. Oh my goodness. These are so cute. Okay, I have to open this up. I love these. You guys, look at these. Do you see this? It's a little wheel of pins, and they look like little leaves. They're like little fall leaves. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Okay, the fabrics this month are killing me. What the what? I'm just gonna unwrap it. When life gives you scraps, make a quilt. Heck yeah. Oh, I love that. Look at these colors, you guys. This mauve, can you tell I'm a fan of this type of color? This mauve and then this mustard. These are beautiful. Again, look at this. Is it my shirt? Was this box made for me time? Because I feel like you're speaking my color language here. Look at this. Oh, look at these. These are beautiful. Perfect for fall. Another one of these. So they give you a lot of different sizes. So you see some of these are like fat quarters. Some of these might be more like a half a yard. They give you a lot of different sizes so you can do different projects. Maybe you're making a pillow and you need a big piece of fabric to go on the back. So you have a lot of options here, which I think is just so thoughtful. All right, so here are my beautiful fabrics over here. Let's make it look nice, huh? Let's make it look like we're professionals here. Look at that. And then we'll take our little pinwheel. Oh my gosh, it looks so good. And then the thread color this month, oh, I love this. Every month so far there has been a spool of thread. So this is going to help you get a stash of embroidery thread month by month. And they're all wonderful colors that are colorful, yet still somewhat neutral, so they'll work with everything. This is adorable. And then again, one of my favorite things is that you have the printed instructions in here. It tells you exactly how you're gonna work through this. It gives you some ideas for different projects to do. I think this is just fantastic. And I just take this, like I said, I have a binder and I just put it in my binder, and every month I just keep adding to it. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, a snowy day in the winter or a stormy day here in Florida where you're kind of locked in the house for a bit and you don't really have anything to do. You just pull this out and you make yourself a little mini quilt with the family. I love it. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is decide how we want to lay out our block. So we pretty much have 4 flying geese. You could scrap this up however you'd like. But I'm gonna do 2 colors for the top flying goose and 2 colors for the bottom. So how do I want to do this? I really love this orange right here. So I know I wanna use that. Probably with something lighter. Maybe I'll have the center be this, and then the corners be this nice white one here. And then obviously I've got to use my favorite color down here, but I also want to use this print. Okay, so I also want to use this print. So we'll do the print for the bottom flying goose. Oh, is it too much purple if I use this with it? No, I think it's gonna be, or should we mix this up? Should like this white go with that and then the purple go with the orange? Or maybe we should mix this up and make this, okay, this is it, this is it. These are my 2 flying geese. So this is the fun part. I mean, have fun with this. So these I'm gonna leave for another project. I don't know what, they're beautiful, I'm gonna use them. But I'm gonna cut up the material for this. The cut list is in your file and also in the printout that was given. So I'm gonna cut this out so that this color and this color are my bottom triangles, and then my top triangles are this purple and this white. So here we go, I have everything cut up. I have the cuts for my bottom flying goose and my top flying goose, and then I have my cut of batting. All the measurements for this are in the pattern. You can make a 2-inch square, you can make a 4-inch square, a 6-inch square, or an 8-inch square. On my embroidery machine, my options are the 2-inch or 4-inch squares, and that's just determined by your hoop size. If you have a larger embroidery machine that can take a larger hoop, you can make the bigger blocks. So speaking of my embroidery machine, I'm using the Brother PE800. This is a fantastic beginner level embroidery machine. It is a starter machine for sure. You are going to be able to do a lot of projects on this, but it's one of those things where if you decide embroidery is your jam, you want to do this all day, all night, then you will move up to a bigger embroidery machine at some point, but you will still use this. So that's something I'll tell you. I have a 15 needle and a 10 needle embroidery machine that are massive, and I can have very large hoops on them, and I do use those, and I also use this. So I think this is a good investment of a machine. I have a whole video going over it, but it is a beginner machine where if you decide you're not into embroidery, you can definitely gift this or sell this to somebody who would like to give it a try. If you love embroidery, you'll still use this in the future. Since I'm making a 4-inch by 4-inch block, I have to make sure I have a hoop size big enough for that. A 4-inch by 4-inch hoop is not big enough. So the block in the end is going to be 4.5 by 4.5 inches. So you need a bigger hoop. So if you're gonna make the 2-inch square block, you can use the smaller 4x4 hoop. If you're making the 4-inch square block, you're gonna need the 5x7 hoop. Here are the other things I'll be using in today's tutorial. Obviously the thread that they sent, and then I have some mesh wash away stabilizer. I do recommend using this for these quilt blocks because it's so lightweight and it can just wash away. I don't wash it away. I leave it and I sew them together with this in, but it's not like a papery stabilizer. Will be a little thick in your seams. So this works great for these quilt blocks. And then an embroidery pair of scissors. These are so handy. And then, of course, my handy dandy little mini Cricut iron, which is just like my favorite thing in the whole world. I love these. I've been buying these for anybody I know who sews. I'm just like, if you don't have one, you gotta have one, and I'm buying you one. So these are just the handiest little irons. They get very hot, they work really well, and they're just easy to take care of. So I've got my little mini Cricut iron. Okay, so the first thing we wanna do is hoop our stabilizer. So I'm just gonna lay this out and cut down a piece that's bigger than my hoop so that I can get it nice and taut in there. I take my outer hoop and lay that up. Take my stabilizer, lay it over the outer hoop, and then take my inner hoop, make sure I'm matching up my little triangles, and just tuck it in here. There we go. And then tighten it up. All right, there we go. Let's get the machine set up now. All right, so as you can see, I already have the embroidery design ready to go on my embroidery machine. So all I have to do is insert my hoop. And you know what? While I'm here, I think I'm going to change out the thread color. So I always like to use a net around my thread. So I insert it from the bottom and then I pull the thread through the top. And then I just have to insert this thread back into my embroidery machine. And then I have a little stopper here that I put on the very top just to hold it in place. There we go. And now I can take my thread and thread my machine as normal. So now I'm going to run the first step, which is just putting an outline for my batting. So once I have my outline, I can just put my batting over that outline, make sure it covers it completely. And now I'm going to run the next step, which is going to tack down the batting. Once that step's done, let's remove the hoop from the machine. Now what I want to do is I want to cut off any of the excess batting that's outside of that tack down area. So I just lift up the batting and use my embroidery scissors. The thing about embroidery scissors is that they're curved. This is going to be a lot easier than regular scissors. If you're using regular scissors here, there's a good chance you're going to jab it through your stabilizer and it's going to be a mess. So if you're doing embroidery, get yourself some embroidery scissors. They are well worth the purchase and you only have to buy them once. These are not scissors you're going to be replacing very often. Okay, once that's trimmed down, let's put it back in the machine. And this next step is going to provide placement for all of the blocks. So we're going to use these next stitches as guidelines for where we put each block throughout the rest of the tutorial. So now I'm going to grab block 1 and I'm going to lay that over this bottom rectangle right here. And don't line up the edge right with this sewn line here. It needs to overextend past that line. So you can see when I put this in, it needs to go well over that and make sure it's also going well over the bottom, very, very bottom stitch line here that's off of the batting and just on the stabilizer. And it's going to be placed right side up. This is the only piece of fabric that is placed right side up. Now let's stitch down this first piece of fabric. Once that's stitched, go ahead and remove the hoop from the machine. And while the hoop is removed, we're going to pull up on this triangle here. So when you're looking at it like this, it's the top left triangle right above where the stitches are. We're going to pull that up and we're going to trim down, and you're going to trim very close to the stitches. You're not leaving a seam allowance here. This stitch line is actually the edge of the seam allowance, so you're good. So we're just going to leave it like that, and then you're going to grab your second color and you're going to lay that right side down, and you're going to line up the long edge of the second block with that stitch line. So right on the edge there, and make sure it extends all the way to the end. It's easy to kind of line it up like that, but then you're not going to cover this bottom corner here. So it needs to go from the edge of the stitches to the edge of the stitches, just like that. If you want to use some Kimberbell tape here to just hold it in place, that's a great option. But I think, for me, I think I'll be okay. So let's put this back in the machine. And now let's stitch down the second piece of fabric. Once that's done, let's take it out of the machine. And now you're going to flip that piece of material you just stitched down right side up. Grab your tiny iron and gently, just a very light press. You don't have to hold it down. It's a very, very light press. There we go. And just to get it set. Isn't that pretty? So now we're going to put this back in the machine. And this next stitch is going to provide a placement stitch for our third piece of fabric. Once you've removed the hoop from the machine, you're going to pull up on this top right triangle from that first piece of fabric here. And we're going to trim this down just like we did on the other side. So I'm just cutting very close to the edge. If you have to cut some of the second piece of fabric as well, that's perfectly fine. Now let's take that third piece of fabric and lay it right side down. Again, matching it up with the stitches over here on the top right. Just make sure you go all the way from the beginning to the end of the stitches. And let's put this back in the machine. And now let's stitch down the third piece of fabric. Pulling it out of the machine, let's flip that third fabric piece right side up and gently press it with your tiny iron. And I'm always making sure my iron is not directly touching my stabilizer because it is plastic, it'll melt. We don't want to do that. There we go. And I'm not holding it down for too long, just enough to get it nice and pressed. Let's put this back in the machine. The next stitch is going to provide placement for fabric piece 4. So this time you have 2 pieces of fabric that extend above that stitch line. Lift them both up and use your scissors and cut them right next to the stitch line. as best you can. If there's a little bit of a crisscross over here, we have a bunching, that's okay, just leave it. So now we're gonna grab fabric piece number 4, and we're gonna lay that right side down on top of the bottom bit here, lining it up with that stitch line we just made, just like that. And let's put it back in the machine. And let's stitch down fabric piece number 4. You guessed it, take it out of the machine and flip up fabric piece 4 so it's right side up, and give it a press right along its seam right here. There we go. All right, looking so cute. So now let's put this back in the machine and let's stitch out placement for fabric piece number 5. So now we're pretty much gonna do the same thing we did on the bottom. So this top left corner here of our piece 5, we're gonna lift that up and we're gonna trim right next to the stitches. All right, this is number 4, isn't it? I'm getting my fabric pieces all mixed up. So this is fabric piece 4. Now take fabric piece number 5 and lay that right side down, lining up the long edge with your stitch line that you just made. There we go. Let's put it back in the machine. And now we'll stitch down fabric piece number 5. Once that's stitched down, press 5 up, right side up, and press along that seam with your iron. Again, just gently and quickly. And let's put this back in the machine. And now we're going to provide a placement line for fabric piece number 6. Once that's stitched down, you're going to take your number 4 block here and you're going to lift up the top right corner and just trim along that stitch line. There we go. And then take your final block and lay it right side down, matching it up with those stitches. And then let's put this back in the machine and let's stitch down the last block. So let's remove it one more time and flip this last block right side up and press that seam with your iron. Go ahead and make sure the whole block is nice and flat now. And now let's put this back in the machine. And this next step is going to stitch out a rectangle to give you the finished size of your block. You can be done if you don't want to quilt it, but the following step after that is going to be quilting the block. So if you're not planning on quilting this block, you can be done, take this out and cut it down to 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. However, if you'd like to run the quilting step, now's the time to do it. I'm gonna go ahead and run it. Okay, your block is all done. Now let's cut this down. So I like to just take it out like that. And this does have quite a few jump stitches. You might have noticed that my machine was kind of catching them sometimes and it would rip them. So that's something to think about. If you can have a setting on your machine to cut the jump stitches, this would be a good one to make sure it does cut those because it can get kind of caught up. Overall, the quilting still turned out great, but it can be a little scary sometimes when the presser foot gets stuck on those stitches. So the final step is cutting this down to the right size. So you can see there's this rectangle that goes around the entire perimeter of our block. That should measure 4.5 inches by 4.5 inches. So when you lay your ruler over it, you should be able to line it up pretty easily using those stitches. If it doesn't line up exactly with those stitches, that's okay. Just make sure you cut your block to 4.5 by 4.5. You are going to want to make sure your block size is correct. So you should have enough overhang no matter what to get that size block. And there we go. Look at that adorable little block. I love these colors. And when you flip this over, you see the batting is only on the center. It doesn't extend all the way to the edges. And the reason for that is so that you can piece this together with other blocks and you don't have a bunch of bulk. So it's already quilted and batted and you just kind of like quilt as you go kind of thing. You just put it all together and then you have this adorable, adorable little mini project. I love it. So what do you guys think? Isn't that adorable? I love these little blocks so much. They're so, so cute. I hope you guys love making these. And like I said, tell me what you use them. Are you making a quilt? Are you making a little bowl cozy? I gotta be honest, I'm not a big fan of soup, so the whole hot bowl thing doesn't really get to me, but I am a fan of ice cream, so I do understand getting my fingers a little too cold. This is so fun, so cute. So if you stuck with me this long, I have something to tell you. I have been granted the opportunity to gift 3 of these away for this month. I'm so excited. I'm especially excited because it's my favorite colors. So I am going to be giving away 3 of the October Perfectly Pieced boxes. The details for that will be down in the description of this video. To enter, you will be doing that through social media, so either Facebook or Instagram. I will have a post over there. All you have to do is comment on either of those posts, both of them if you'd like, as many times as you'd like, and I will be picking 3 winners from those comments to send out these boxes for this month. I'm just so excited about this. I love it. So thank you so much for sewing with me today. I hope you love making these as much as I do. I hope you're enjoying your Perfectly Pieced subscription. This is a really, really fun one, especially for those of us who are quilters and embroiderers and bag makers, and it's kind of a perfect way for us to put it all together. I got a quilt block that I quilted on my embroidery machine, and then I put it on a bag. Perfect. I hope you're having a great day. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Get out there and make something. Bye, guys.